Thought I already heard it. Madam Clerk, I think we have a forum.
We do.
Welcome to the Town of Cedar Point regular meeting, Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. This meeting is now in order. Oh, we have Pastor Daniel Caldwell from Cedar Point Pentecostal Church here with us tonight. He's going to lead us in prayer. He's been here about an hour and a half with me. And then we'll remain standing for Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we just take a moment here to acknowledge you, God. We've got a lot of important people and important business to do tonight, but we want to stop for a minute and just honor the most important one in this room. God, we thank you for your sacrifice that you gave to give us all through your Son, by and through your Son, our being, God, and our purpose and a hope for eternity. Father, we acknowledge you, and we also ask, God, that you would have your way in the proceedings tonight, Lord. I pray that truth would come out where it needs to come out, that decisions will be made in a way that that is orderly and according to your will and according to your purpose for this community. Father, we lift up our law enforcement and first responders, God, and everyone else, God, that's involved in this community and keeping it safe and comfortable to live in. Father, we just pray that you would bless all them and the families of each and every one here tonight. Lord, we love you, and we just thank you, and we pray that you bless this meeting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
They said it was cooler today. Did y'all notice that?
I didn't, not at all. I did.
You did? It was cooler to me yesterday because I didn't go outside at all. None. So it's pretty good. Well, welcome. Glad to see you guys here. Has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda and the consent agenda? Anything you'd like to pull out and talk about, or discuss, or add? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
We approve the agenda and consent agenda as written.
Got a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, it's passed. Thank you. Okay, David, we're gonna jump right to the fun stuff. Special use permit application, SUP 2025-03. B1 zoning district, street yard display.
All right. I will go ahead, Mayor, if you allow, and introduce kind of some overview information. We'll swear in any witnesses and then proceed with a kind of overview of the application itself, and then get into the hearing. The comment portion here. We now open the evidentiary hearing for special use permit 2025-03, I believe it is. The applicant has requested to use the property at 310 Cedar Point Boulevard for a street yard display for tractors. This is a request for a variance and for a special use permit. And for this type of hearing, the decision will be made by a simple majority vote of the board. So it's not a 4/5, it is just a simple majority. This hearing is a quasi judicial evidentiary hearing. That means it is like a court hearing. State law sets specific procedures and rules concerning how this board must make its decision. These rules are different from other types of land use decisions like rezoning cases. The board's discretion is limited. The board must base its decision upon competent, relevant, and substantial evidence in the record. A quasi-judicial decision is not a popularity contest. It is a decision constrained by the standards in the ordinance and based on the facts presented. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and standards, not personal preference or opinion. Participation in the hearing is limited. This meeting is open to the public and everyone is welcome to watch. Parties with standing have rights to participate fully. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, and make legal arguments. Parties are limited to the applicant, the town of Cedar Point, and any individuals who can show they will suffer special damages. Other individuals may serve as witnesses when called on by the board. General witness testimony is limited to facts, not opinions. If you plan on discussing impacts on property values and projections about impacts of increased traffic, you must be qualified as an expert and must present the factual evidence upon which you base your expert opinion. Witnesses must swear or affirm their testimony. At this time, we will administer the oath for all individuals who intend to provide witness testimony. So anyone who plans on speaking in this hearing, please come forward.
We can do it all together. Right hand.
David, I'm gonna get a motion to open the hearing.
Okay.
Entertain a motion.
We open special use permit hearing.
Got a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. You're ready.
Couple disclosures. The parties to this case are entitled to an impartial board. A board member may not participate in this hearing if she or he has a fixed opinion about the matter, a financial interest in the outcome of the matter, or a close relationship with an affected person. Does any board member have any partiality to disclose and recusal to offer?
I don't, but I know Dave Owens for a long time. He knows me too, but I don't get a vote, so.
All right, hearing none. The parties to this case have rights for any ex parte communication to be disclosed. Ex parte communication is any communication about the case outside of this hearing. That may include site visits as well as conversations with parties, staff, or the general public. Does any board member have any site visits to disclose? Hearing none. Does any board member have any conversations or other communications to disclose? Hearing none. Based on the disclosures we've heard from the board concerning partiality and ex parte communications, does any member of the board or any party in this matter wish to make an objection to a board member's participation in this hearing? Hearing none. At this point, I will turn to the application that's been submitted and walk the board through it. All right. So the application was included in the packet, and it was sent out to adjoining property owners. Property was posted, so notice has been made for this hearing. The applicant is Bruce, and I'm going to butcher your last name if you don't help me, Bruce. Paetzel. Thank you. He is requesting the ability to use the property owned by David Owens at 310 Cedar Point Boulevard as a commercial street yard display for 3 to 6 tractors or units. Contact information is provided here. The property is zoned B1. It is in a flood zone, but that isn't really applicable to tonight's discussion. And there you have the parcel ID. In order to be granted a special use permit, the proposed use must comply with all applicable requirements set forth in the town's Unified Development Ordinance. Additionally, following a hearing, the Town Board of Commissioners must find that all of the following standards will be met. The applicant is encouraged to provide written answers addressing each of the following standards prior to the formal hearing. Additional information, documentation, and argument may be provided at the hearing to support the position that each of the following standards will be met. Standard A, that the proposed use conforms to the character of the neighborhood, considering the location, type, and height of buildings or structures, and the type and extent of landscaping on the site. The applicant responded that there would be no change to structures. Standard B, that adequate measures will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed as to minimize traffic hazards and traffic congestion on the public roads. The applicant responded yes, no adverse effect. Standard C, that adequate utilities, water, sewer, drainage, electric, etc., are available for the proposed use. The applicant responded yes, no changes to what is in place. Standard D, that the proposed use will not be noxious or offensive by reason of vibration, noise, odor, dust, smoke, or gas. The applicant responded no, no change. Standard E, that the establishment of the proposed use will not impede the orderly development and improvement of surrounding properties for uses permitted within the land development district. The applicant responded, no changes, only improvements. Excuse me. Standard F, that the establishment, maintenance, and or operation of the proposed use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare. The applicant responded, no danger to general welfare. And finally, standard G, that the use will be operated in compliance with all local, state, and federal laws and will not become a nuisance by creating criminal activity or public disturbance. So those are the standards the board must find are being met. Included with the application was the site plan showing the property itself. I'm going to skip down one just to give a little more zoomed out view. Here's Cedar Point Boulevard right here. This is Island Tractor to the west, across from Salty Open Market and Flippers Cove. So zoomed in view, this is the property next door, known as the Kiwi Cottage. And you can see a couple X marks placed out here for the potential location of where the proposed tractors would be located. And that's the application and supporting document.
Okay, thank you, David. Bruce, I'll give you the opportunity to come up and talk to us first. Just come right up to the stand and give us your name and address one more time, please.
Bruce Patesold, 8707 Plantation Drive.
David, can you flip back to those questions?
Yes, Mayor. First page.
Yes, that's fine. Bruce, when he read you the directions to these questions are very important to the board to be able to make a decision. And the answers that are here for us to make that decision are not sufficient. So as you talk to us, try and give us a little bit more information. I don't care how you can do it. You can just talk about what you're going to do and we can pick some of it out. But we have to be able to say, yes, those answers you gave are good.
Okay. So start with A.
You can.
Okay, so the answer is no change to the structures. There's just gonna be some tractors parked in front for sales opportunity.
Why do you think that conforms to the character of the neighborhood?
Because
that's going to be our part. We got to answer those questions too. See,
yeah,
so
Cedar Point.
so the yes and no answers,
yeah,
they just won't suffice.
okay.
So
well, I mean, I believe everybody that lives on or has a business on Cedar Point Boulevard is there for one reason, that's to make money. It's got, I don't know, 10,000 cars going by every day. So the more supply I have, the more demand.
is there any kind of landscaping out there by the road at all? You don't have any thoughts of putting any out there or anything like that?
Yeah, beautiful red tractors.
I got you. Okay, you can continue on
Okay.
it, and you don't have to take them in specific. You can just talk of what you're going to do out there. It's fine for me. We'll try to pick some of it up, but we are going to look at those questions individually. So.
I mean, to make it as simple as possible, you know, it's gonna be 3 to 6 tractors sitting there. My lot alone at Island Tractor is small enough, and we are pretty busy, considering it's sort of, we got into the business not to be busy. But Dave's cordial enough to let us use it, and he's a great neighbor. I really don't know what else to tell you, because they get parked there and then they get sold and another one's in its place. Until we decide not to do this anymore, then Dave's gonna probably have a swimming pool there.
He may. I don't know the best way to go through these questions. We have
So-
nothing on these questions. I mean,
I can ask a question. So it looks to me like, based on those X's, the ingress and egress from the front of the lot is blocked. So how do the X's go right across where the cut is? So how do people access it then?
Well, let's see, there's more X's than what we said there'd be tractors, so, you know, where there's, on the right hand side, going left, there's only enough space there, for 4 tractors. And then over on the left, not blocking the drive, there's the space, there's enough for 2.
So you don't intend to block that driveway?
No.
Oh, okay.
well, one of my questions was, because you do have, your pictures showing you blocking the driveway. So I was wondering whether people gonna go in your business driveway and walk over there.
Well, we have an entrance, as you can see, there's a truck parked there next to the last X on the left. That whole area there is another driveway that is connected to ours. So it's Captain Deck Lane, so they can come in from Captain Deck Lane, but no, it's just too convenient not to have that blocked.
Question, John, you
I
might.
have,
go
I have a
ahead.
question, I guess either for the applicant or Mr. Reef. And these special use permits tend to be tricky. And I need to be reminded, the last time we did this, I think I remember that the permits are really tied to the property, not the vendor. So it's for Mr. Owen's property. And my understanding from the ordinance is, as long as it's used continuously, it's in effect. And I think it's 6 months after without any use, then the permit goes away. Am I correct, David?
That would be correct. If you stop a use for a period of 6 months, then you have lost that use. We would consider it vacant, or if there's other uses on the property, we'd recognize.
And
those.
this is really the second time that we have done a special use permit for an adjoining property. I think the first time was for Rooms Unlimited. We allowed them to use the property beside it. As I, you know, I'm not a legal beagle, but I think out loud a bit. My only concern about this application is, at some point, you may outgrow your main venue. In fact, you might argue you've already outgrown your venue. So my concern to the town, and I guess your concern, a question to you is, unless it's something that precludes it, you technically could move your business someplace else. But the special use permit would still be in effect on this property. You get what I'm saying? So you could have your business elsewhere in Cedar Point or in Emerald Isle or in Swansboro, but there's nothing that precludes you from moving that as long as you're using that permit. Yeah, am I correct, David, or am I wrong?
Not without adding a condition. There would be nothing. I mean, if you allow that as a street yard display of tractors without making some reference to as an expansion of the adjoining property, then yeah, I mean, it could continue if the property next door was changed to different use.
So that would be my only concern.
And
If you want to answer that, yeah.
I'd like for you to put a condition in there. As soon as they're through, drop it off. You know, I don't make any money out of this.
I'm fine with it.
I'm helping the neighbor. and never moves, drop it off, I'm good, thank you.
That's my.
Okay.
Neil, do you have any concerns with that?
I do not.
That. I go by there, I walk by there all the time, right, Dave? I've been in there and talked to Dave long before he even had the mowers over there that he's got now. And our conversation the last time that I went in there, and I went in his building and all that stuff. He showed me everything out there. But in my comment to him at that time, that cottage, and I call it a cottage, has always been very pretty building. And my comment to him at that time, I was glad, and I had Nancy with me, I was glad to see him fixing that building up. And he did a good job. So the mowers that are in there, you don't have many out there. I think you got 4 maybe.
They're not mine.
I know,
Yeah, there's 4 or
but
5.
there's like 4. So I just want to make sure we don't get that overcrowded. And, you know, they don't start looking raggedy up there, because that's a hill there. And they're up on the hill. And I don't think they're completely clear of the right of way either. David will have to tell me more about that. But I think they're up in the town right of way. So they're probably going to have to come down some. You'll see telephone poles that run through there. So I think that's going to, if you're not careful with that, that's going to make that area look junky. And like I said, it's always looked really nice until it fell off. And David, he got it and fixed it up. It looks nice now.
You've never come and told me that it looks nice in the tractor shop.
Yeah.
And then I've tried, I just don't got, every day I clean up.
The tractor shop,
It's
the
like-
tractor shop is not pretty to me.
No, it's not.
I just can tell you.
There will be no maintenance done on that piece of property over there.
But you know, there's a lot of stuff in Cedar Point that we've done that it's not pretty to me. I'll just tell you that. And they've heard it. I just don't get a vote. But I do get a speak, so that's the difference. And John and David already cleared the special use stays with that property. I mean, that's what we thought.
And as a reminder also, all of the special use permits that are given for street yard displays only last for 5 years. If someone wants to continue that beyond 5 years, they have to come back in and request it. There is an expiration of 5 years that was built in the event that the town ever decided to do away with street yard displays altogether. So just keep that in mind as well. If it is more than 5 years.
That's probably all I need.
Shoot me right back up to around question 4.
All right.
There's a lot of stuff going on right there, and I don't think any of that is going to be probably be offensive or anything like that. But some of my questions I got that's going to pertain to that, you got to keep gas in them. How much gas do you keep in them? Does your gas leak out of them? It sounds all silly questions, but they're not silly questions. Do you keep keys in?
No.
Okay, because
Yes, they're.
if you're not out
They're
there,
fully functional. There's oil and diesel.
the stuff in them.
Yeah.
So kids are going to climb on those, and you may not be there. Dave may not be there. So somehow they have to be safe, and you always got to keep safety in mind. And I think that all fills into that question. It's not only that there's changes and no changes, but there are changes. When you put mowers out there and stuff like that, you start creating dangers for kids or people or whoever out there. I think that, I don't know what kind of light you have out there. Do you have any light out there?
Street light,
It's nothing,
you mean to light the property up? No.
yeah, yeah.
No,
So that's,
I mean, it's not shining on any equipment. Now, I have cameras all over that place.
so I mean, it's things like that, just like your ingress and egress through that little road, if somebody pulls up there to what Pam was talking about, I mean, even if you leave it open and blocked, there's nothing to tell anybody where to pull in, out, and where to pull out, in or out at. So you don't know where the ingress and the egress is. You don't know if it's in your driveway, you don't know whether it's in the other driveway, so there probably needs to be something in your plan that where somebody comes in and where somebody goes out. It's just Cedar Point Boulevard is busy.
They don't come into my property, basically. They come in to where the tractor place is and then.
Basically is what scares me.
Sometimes they do. I'm
Right. So that, I mean,
Look, I had a guy come down there today and go right through my front yard.
right. So back to it, in your plan, you have to have something there to let people know where to go in and out at. And that's what the questions are here. They seem kind of messed, but they do have an intent. So you got to, read through that place and then do things like that. And see, we have to answer all the standards. If we miss the standards, we don't,
Basically, they use Tommy Drive and I use that other drive sometimes. This is hard to get off. It's easier to get off on Tommy Drive than it is to come in and go down that home.
You mean Captain Duck Lane?
Yeah, Tommy Drive. Captain Dick Lane.
and if I look and think to myself, what's the benefit for us to pass this and you do that for the citizens of Cedar Point? What's the benefit for me, Dave, all of us in this room? I really can't come up with a benefit for the citizens of Cedar Point to add more mowers to these two lots.
I don't know if there would be a benefit. It's sort of like if you already have some outdoor furniture, having 1 million chairs out there isn't a benefit to you anymore either. So I don't know how to answer that.
Well,
Taxes,
other
they
than-
pay taxes on them.
my wife makes me buy these chairs like every year, dude. I don't have any tractors.
They don't pay sales tax.
There you go.
So that's all. I don't think it's a benefit to anybody, and I don't think it's a hindrance to anybody. It's just
And
that.
see, that's one of the questions on this thing we have to answer. So there is a difference. So
Random member allowed to make comment? Or ask questions?
he'd have to swear you in.
Okay.
You can be sworn in, identify yourself, and
Anybody here can talk, you just have to be sworn in.
and provide factual evidence, not opinion.
I just have a question.
That would be up to the mayor whether to.
I'll hear your question.
So, are they lawn mowers or tractors? They're trucks. Bless your on the back of this shirt.
Yeah, like a track, like a
And,
farm.
and they've got some kind of safety interlock when the bucket is raised for advertisement or something. You can't just go pull a lever and drop that bucket on somebody. And the keys aren't like Amazon, order a key and go start it like you can Caterpillar. Is there? Is there a way to password protect that?
You can get the keys from Home Depot
You might
or
be able
Lowe's.
to disable it by disconnecting the battery or something, if that was the word.
I just bought one.
They know.
I
I
personally
just
think
bought a key
tractors
from
are
Home
free.
Depot.
Well, like, in terms of the allowances, maybe something along the lines of no used tractor, only new equipment. If you're worried about what it looks like, you might add that in provision that only brand new equipment be allowed to be displayed out there. Cause I don't know if you take trade in, sell 1946 tractors, it's a trade in.
No.
But when you were talking about safety, you got me thinking about the interlock of buckets. I don't know people. I have some heavy equipment in my own.
Well, he lifts the bucket up.
Right, it's a great way to advertise the tractor.
Yeah.
As long as you can't walk up there and drop it.
Correct. You said no old tractor. Evidently, you don't see what I drive.
Anybody else on board got any questions?
Yeah, Mayor, I have a couple questions. How many tractors are currently on the main lot right now?
Let's see.
Like if you had like full like capacity on your lot, like how many would you have on that lot?
On the Island Tractor lot, let's say right now there's 10.
10. Are there replica of what's gonna go on the Kiwi Cottage lot? Is it like the same thing or is it a different model?
Well, actually, my thought was over on the Kiwi lot, just put cab tractors.
Cat, so they'd have a cab.
Yeah.
So they're bigger. They're bigger than what's on your main lot.
Correct.
And then is there a sign, David, on front for the Kiwi Cottage? Do you have a sign out there? No sign.
I don't want any sign.
You don't want no signs.
Are you gonna do anything in that cottage, David?
I have my office in.
Oh, so it's not an Airbnb.
No.
Well, he told me a couple, 2, 3 things is why I asked that.
Well, that's why
whether-
I'm asking too.
Whether he had,
Yeah.
I collect junk, sell junk on eBay sometimes. And it's all in there. Y'all let it go like it.
Well, that goes back to that's where I'm at. That's why I'm trying to wrap my head around this because you did a great job remodeling, like the mayor said, you did a great job and it looks great. I'm glad you did that. But my thought process is like, why would you want to put all these tractors in front of a cottage? You know, like an Airbnb. You see what I'm saying? Like that's where I was trying to wrap
You're
my
right. I mean,
because to me, I'd be like, that's not what I envisioned this to be, you know?
no, I was gonna make it.
I
Okay.
got you. Because
I
this
was
is,
in business at a younger age. These guys are trying to make a living. I got a piece of property. I could see what it's gonna hurt helping somebody out. I'm not making a dime off it. Do I put up with the tractors in front of my place? They're not so bad. You just borrow whatever. I do if I need one. You know, they share pretty much. You know that.
I have a question. Did we get any responses from your adjourners? No.
I talked to one guy and he says 6 tractors, you know, says if it gets over that, we won't have to talk about it, but.
Mayor, is there a way like, this is a very nice piece of property. And I just don't want to, it's kind of like going back to my golf cart thing. You know, the dinosaurs and next thing you know, we got a big old dinosaur collage in the back of that place. Is there a way just to restrict a certain portion of that, like where that truck is in the corner of that lot? There's 3, see where the 3 X's are?
well, I think you can definitely restrict the amount of motors he's out there, but I mean, he's not got like 4 out there.
Yeah, but if he does this full
But
layout, he's gonna have 6 or 7.
yeah, I mean, once he backs, he's probably gonna have to back them down off that hill some, cause the right of way probably runs through that hill. And I don't know how much, that's where the egress and the ingress and the egress came so important. If somebody pulls in there, they're gonna be down. So I mean, the vehicle that pulls in there's gotta go somewhere. And it's gonna fill that lot up, cause that front is not that big. I mean, he's got more side room where Dave parks his stuff at
Right.
is He's got plenty of side room. He just doesn't have that much up front room up there. Any more comments from the public? You guys got any more comment? Okay.
You know where the closest location is to a business similar to yours, where somebody could come and buy a cat tractor and look at it? Is this a unique?
Jacksonville.
So in Carteret County,
There might be is there a Kubota dealer? I don't know.
No.
That's-
I can't think of another place in Carteret County that sells a product like that. On display with the, variety.
Not that I know of. All in Jacksonville. Motion closed public hearing.
Make a motion for this public hearing.
Got a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Alright.
All right, Dave, you guys can sit down. We're just gonna talk up here for a little bit, the board. Does the board have any problems with the questions like me? If not, tell me what you have a problem with, or if you're okay with them, or what?
I think that, it's clear now exactly what he wants to do. Because it's fine.
I think the thing people have a problem with, you went there and renovated that house and never.
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
But you got to keep in mind the property owner wants to allow this, and he had no objections around it. And I don't really think it's going to make that place look, it looks better than Jimmy Riggs when he run it.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Yeah.
I like if he moves, wipe out the use.
Yeah, I agree with
I
that.
agree, Frankie. That's where I was kind of, my head was wrapped around it.
I think-
Police and that
and-
police their sales.
And John maybe already done it, but I think you gotta add some conditions to it.
Agreed.
You gotta have your quantity out there, whatever you decide your quantity's gonna be. And get it out of the right of way, as it is in the right of way. And. I mean, you made a drawing, we request that they make a drawing, the drawing's not right. Because the drawing goes across this driveway, so we probably need an actual drawing. Where these 4 motors need to go, or he needs to tell us where the 4 motors are gonna go.
You can make that, as part of your condition to stay outside of that driveway and, 1 or 2, in between the driveway and Captain Deck Lane and the rest on the other side of the Kiwi Cottage driveway.
Where the
And
road
just specify that clearly, and we don't necessarily have to have a drawing to reflect that. As long as it's clear from an interpretation and enforcement standpoint.
I do want to say that I am supportive of Island Tractor. I think it's a great business to have, and I think it's great that you're in Cedar Point. For those who know me, I have been somewhat against special use permits for display purposes. In most cases, it's on the property of the business. Again, I think the only one that deviates from that is Rooms Unlimited. To me, it's a sliding slope sort of thing, because we always say that we want to keep a small town, village, Cedar Point fishing village sort of vibe. But we tend to work against it by doing things like this, and I just want us to be kind of aware of that, and I know this board will be. So I ask whoever makes the motion to approve, take a moment to think about the conditions that you put on the switcher use, and go from there.
Did you have something you wanted to say?
If there's a motion, here is one of the conditions that I think I'm hearing the board would like. This is an extension of the use on 306 Cedar Point Boulevard. And this special use permit is effective for 5 years or until tractor sales on 306 Cedar Point Boulevard cease, whichever is earlier.
Three oh six or 310?
306 is the contractor.
Okay,
So 310 is the.
so 310 is the actual
address of
property
the
that,
property.
That's the cop 310.
That's what we were talking about. We didn't want to confuse the two because they're separate.
yeah,
You want to make a motion?
Yes, I will admit that I'm not a huge fan of more tractors. I don't mind them where they are. However, I also don't want to be unfair, and the chair display is awful. So I'll make this motion. Okay, so I move we approve the special use permit as an extension of the use of 306 Cedar Point Boulevard, effective for 5 years or until the tractor sales on 306 Cedar Point Boulevard cease, whichever is earlier, that the maximum number of tractors on that lot will be 6. They will not be in the right of way, and the driveway will remain clear of tractors. Did I get everything?
I think you did. That was good.
Mhm.
On my notes.
Got a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Can I have you?
Oh,
All opposed? We're closed.
I got writer's cramp. There, thank you. I'll take yours too.
Good job.
Okay, motion passes.
Can I say one thing?
No.
Maybe more. Those tractors have been there for quite a bit. And I've been contacted by the
Enforcement officer.
code enforcement officer. And I do have to tell you, your staff is great to work with. We were wrong. We knew we were wrong, but they didn't come give us a black eye. They gently turned us in the direction we were supposed to go. And we appreciate it.
Thank you. They do good.
They do great. You know, even if you just said no, I'd come up here and said the same thing.
We appreciate that.
All right.
Or you'd have told me about it when I went by there next time. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And Mayor, Alicia is on the Zoom call as well, so
Nice.
good job, Alicia.
Good job.
Really thought this would fix that up. Yeah.
Okay, David, public hearing for Chama Access Grant.
All right,
Motion to, let me get a motion. I'll go ahead and get a motion. Get a motion to open the hearing.
I make a motion, we open hearing.
Got a motion on the floor. All those in favor? Okay, thank you.
what is before you tonight is a resolution authorizing the submittal of a final grant application for the 2025-2026 Public Beach and Waterfront Access Grant Program. It was included in your packet. Hope you had a chance to read it. I'm not going to read the entirety of the resolution to you, but basically it is the board's decision to authorize the submission of this application that's following to CAMA seeking funds for the construction of our bathroom facility at Boathouse Creek Park. Now, what I included in your packet was everything that I had available and as updated as I could make it at the time that we sent it out. In fact, Jane worked in the evening to make sure we got the agenda packet out to you. I was trying to get a last estimate in. It was running a little late, didn't realize that the guy that had been working on it was no longer working for his employer. So kind of a little lost communication there for a little bit. So, but thankfully they did get us the estimate that we needed. So it is included in an update that I will go over with you in just a moment. Kind of show you some of those changes. From a kind of structural standpoint, the numbers actually work out the same. I was able to move the numbers around a little bit to make sure that it stays consistent with what we were asking for. I simply took some money that was set aside for contingency and took it out of the equation. I think we'll still be good based on my conversations with the proposed contractors. But what we would be asking for from CAMA would be $305,000. The town's cash match of that would be $110,000 for a total project cost of $415,000. The drawing, I'm not going to walk through the entirety of the information here for you, but I'm sure you all are aware of where it is, but I'll show it to our audience members who may not be aware. So when you enter into Boathouse Creek Park at 401 Masonic Avenue, this is behind New Sports Shop. Here's kind of an aerial view of the general location, and then a vicinity map showing the different roads. So as you come in Masonic Avenue behind New Sports Shop is our 57-acre Boathouse Creek Park. The park is divided into two areas. There's an area that is within a restrictive covenant area. So there's some restrictions on it that were placed as part of another grant that we received to help us acquire the property. And that consists of 49.22 acres. Some of the conditions in that grant do not allow us to place a bathroom facility within that area. So in order to put a facility at that park, it has to be in the area outside the covenants, which is the 7.32 acre area that you see at the entrance. So here's Masonic Avenue coming in the bottom of the property, and we currently have a parking area out front. Full list of the covenants are there if anyone wants to take a look at them. So in your packet was this drawing. It has been updated slightly. I'll show you a couple of the revisions that have changed. So let me pull up the other copy here. I'll highlight them for you and then I'll explain what changed. Rather than doing 8-foot wide accessible parking spaces, we're going to do 10-foot wide, make them a little bit wider. Also, I mentioned previously our required setback for a rural agricultural property is currently 50 feet. As you can see by this drawing, this initial drawing, it was set back 24.3 feet from the property line, which would not meet our setbacks, and therefore need to do something with it. Last month, the board indicated a willingness to revise the setback requirements. I worked with the surveyors and engineers to move the building closer to the parking lot a little bit so that for that text amendment, we'll be looking at a 30-foot front yard setback. So we were able to move another 5 feet closer to that parking area. And so now you'll see on this drawing that there's 10-foot wide parking spaces as well. Some additional information was added showing the proposed underground electric service, proposed water service, and connection to the bathrooms, as well as a couple notes up in this corner to reflect that the Town of Cedar Point Board of Commissioners proposes to reduce the front yard setback to the 30-foot as shown. And also to make it clear that this project would not trigger the need for a state stormwater permit because it does not add more than 10,000 square feet of new impervious area. And it would not impact more than a half acre of land. So those are the changes that you see to the site plan itself. I want to make sure you are aware of those. And then as we go through, there's an aerial showing the overlay of exactly where it would be. That will be updated on the final grant application as well to show that reduced area. This shows, this one of the maps that's required to be included. It shows all the adjoining properties and their uses. You can see off to the east is residential. To the south is the residential of the Octagon House and vacant due south. Kind of to the southeast is some commercial, and due north is the Croatan Recreation, or the Cedar Point Recreation Area at Croatan National Park off VFW Road. So there's all the adjoining properties. Here is this is kind of the introductory sketch. There has been some minor changes to this. In fact, actually, just a second. But here is a depiction of what the bathroom facility should look like. One other exception to this is this window will not be here. The draftsman drew it with vents up at the top and windows at this level, where the transition has been based on previous discussions with the board to put windows up top for the natural light and not have windows here, and to make the bathroom units conditioned. So the estimate that you'll see actually shows having a mini split for each of those 3 bathrooms. That's built into the estimate there. Of course, the purpose there was to kind of replicate the design of the Octagon House, which is the adjoining property to this facility to the west. So zoom in a little bit for you. You can see that all 3 of the bathroom facilities, they're labeled men's, ladies, and unisex, where they're all 3 going to be unisex. So we don't have to worry about, so if you have 3 women needing to use a restroom, they can, choose to use all 3 at the same time. But each of them are handicap accessible, as well as the entirety of the wraparound porch. It has been designed to be low maintenance in that the exterior of the building would be the split face block that we talked about. The exterior deck would be a raised slab, concrete slab, so it won't be wood that we have to worry about maintaining on a regular basis. And then you do have the accessible ramp that comes down the side of it. The rear quadrant would be used for maintenance and storage and utility access and all that sort of stuff. So that would be in this 4th quadrant here. And if you have any questions at any point, feel free to let me know. I did include part of the discussion is to explain the need for the project. It just so happened that we had a request from a visitor on July 14th asking, hey, we need some bathrooms out there because people are actually using the restroom there along the waterfront. And so it was just, it was very nice that that came in just as I was putting the application together so I could include it in our discussion. There is information in here showing where recreation and water access is an important attraction to the town. It's one of the things that we focus on being able to provide through both our land use plan and the recreational plan that we have from several years ago. So it highlights the areas where this project is kind of addressed in those plans. And then the 2 estimates, the first estimate here is for the construction of the facility itself. Includes all the materials and labor for cost on the building itself at right at $300,000, just under $300,000. I had created this estimate for Sunland just based off previous work, which is what I had previously included. However, we do have a new estimate, and I'll pull that up in just a second and kind of walk you through the changes on the project budget page as well, because that page is changing. Let me go over here. Next to it. All right, so you'll see at the bottom of this, our share would be 110,000, which is 26.5%. Kama share would be 305. The max that they will do is a 75% match with us doing a 25. However, they did have some language in there that they do show some favoritism to those that don't ask for the 75-25. So I did include a little bit to show that, you know, we're doing a little bit more than the bare minimum here on that, in that regard, by doing 26.5. The numbers, as you'll see, some of these have changed just a little bit. Previously, this was $6,000. We had $5,000 built in for final site plans and engineering. There's a little bit built into the Sunland contract. So for some engineering, so I took $1,000 out of that. And then the numbers for the parking and sidewalk, these numbers were previously 40,000 apiece. And you'll see that they're now 56,487 for materials and 36,627.13 for the labor aspect of it. When those went up from $80,000 to 93, which is the total of that estimate. Zoom out a little bit here. 93,114.43. What I had done at that point was reduce the contingency amount. You'll look in this line item right here, utilities and contingency for both materials and labor. That number was 17,588.50 in both of those. I basically took all the utility estimate of 19,000, added the remainder of the contingency amount, and then split it between the two. Where on the new one, those numbers have been reduced. To 11,531.29 or 28.5 really in each of the two categories. So those were the numbers have changed a little bit. It does reduce the amount that we had kind of asked for set aside for contingency. They allow us to do up to 5%. In talking with both contractors, I told them to, as the instructions gave us, to facilitate or consider this being an 18-month long project. So build in some inflation guard and that sort of thing. And both of them indicated that they had done that. And I feel that they did it sufficiently that we should be able to get the project done under budget. So like, for example, there's in this particular one, I'm not sure that we would need to spend $6,000 on surveying for that portion of it. We have surveying already being done by Tidewater Associates. So I think there's some of that built in with this estimate. So I didn't feel the need to increase the amount. I'm open to any questions that you have, any comments, concerns.
A lot of work to build a bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's.
How about anybody in public, Don?
Anybody look at the existing septic system to verify that it will handle that?
Yes, so the system that is already on site is designed large enough to facilitate park usage, provided we don't put more than 36 fixed parking places. Yes.
I like the bathroom moved closer to the handicap parking area.
Yeah.
So that make a lot easier, for
So-
sure.
What do you make the ramp out of?
The ramp would be concrete as well.
So the driveway leading to the parking spaces, maybe a driveway.
Where do you see?
No, I'm just asking, like, you come in, you make a left, does that be,
I'll come back up to the site plan there for you.
I know you got the parking spaces and concrete and everything, but what leads to that coming off of that drive?
So there's no proposal under this to do anything different with the existing gravel road that comes in, makes the turn.
Mhm.
Once you make the turn into the parking area itself, which currently has some wheel stops up here and a rope. This entire area would be gravelled with the exception of the 3 handicap spaces with the van accessible aisle, as well as a 5-foot wide sidewalk. Now, one thing to remind you of on this, I mentioned it before, but for the public as well. We're actually proposing for this part of it, everything that's going to be paved would be paved with a pervious concrete, so the water runs right through it. We do that to make sure that, we're being as environmentally friendly as we can with that construction. However, like the parking that we did on the waterfront, it would also be wrapped with 6 inches of solid concrete from a maintenance standpoint, so you don't have the edges breaking off and the guys can more easily maintain it with edgers and stuff like that. So it'd be just like waterfront parking. Yeah, for those areas.
Are you gonna use that same material?
Yes.
Everybody good? A motion to close the hearing.
Make a motion, we close here.
Have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
Make that motion.
Got a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, David, go get us some money.
Hoping to, we'll have it submitted, deadline to submit is July 31st. And hopefully we'll hear something back in September or so.
So that's the web. Sure.
Yeah, the anticipation would be to, once we hear back, hopefully have a contract awarded sometime end of the year, beginning of next year. And then we can start the process of bidding it out.
Yes, Deputy Nakamura's not here tonight.
He's in training.
Captain of training or something? Been around
I think it's
forever.
Taser.
Updates.
Okay, David, you're re-up.
All right. Got a couple things for you. First, the planning board will be meeting at their next meeting. They will have 3 text amendment requests to take a look at. One would be for the reduced setback for the rural agricultural areas for park buildings to 30 feet. And then working with the hospital on their project, they have a couple requests as they're working through their commercial site plan. One, our ordinances currently do not allow a canopy and awning that you can drive under on the front of a building. However, in order to have an emergency room, that's something that has to be there. So they're asking for that text amendment to allow hospitals to provide that on the front of their building. And then also they ran into a situation based on their parking layout. Our ordinances would require a driveway setback of at least 100 foot from Cedar Point Boulevard. And they're going to be a little bit short of that. He doesn't have the final numbers. They're still trying to move it back as much as they can. But because of the 30-foot buffer in the back and how much area that their stormwater and septic systems are having to take up, it's kind of pushing a little further forward than being able to meet that 100 foot without having to come into the side of the building and then turn back to get in a parking lot. Be nice to be able to drive directly into the parking lot. And they'll go over that with you, but those are the 3 things that I'm looking to addressing with the planning board at their next meeting. At the dais tonight, when you came in, are a couple documents. Those are some questionnaires that are required of each board member to fill out each year. It's from the auditors, asking you certain questions. Do you know of any fraud that's taken place? Have you been personally benefited from anything? All those sorts of questions. So if you would get those filled out, preferably before you leave, and then turn them into Jane so we can get those turned back into the auditor. And Neil had one at his desk, basically asking questions about any lawsuits or anything that would impact the town's finances. So make sure you get those filled out and turn back into Jane if you would. Give you a little update on the election process. As you know, we had 3 positions open for the Board of Commissioners coming up this fall. We had 2 of our 3 incumbents decide to rerun. We did not have anyone else apply to fill that 3rd position. And so a decision was made earlier today. There was a meeting at the Board of Elections, and I will read it to you. Some of the stuff out of the way so I can. And this came from Caitlin Sabadish. She's the Director of Elections here in Carter County. And she said, with respect to the conduct of candidate filing for nonpartisan primaries and elections for the 2025 municipal elections, the Carter County Board of Elections has exercised its discretion under North Carolina General Statute, Section 163-294.4A. After its members have taken the oath of office at the county board's organizational meeting on July 22nd, 2025, to extend the candidate filing period by 5 days. As of the close of the filing period on July 18th, 2025, candidates did not file for all offices to be filled in the town of Cedar Point. This extension of the candidate filing period shall apply only to the town of Cedar Point Commissioner contest. The Carter County Board of Elections has unanimously voted for the extension of the candidate filing period for the town of Cedar Point Commissioner to begin at 8 a.m. on July 24th, 2025, and to continue during regular business hours through July 30th, 2025 at 5:00 p.m. So there's an additional 5 days. If you know of anybody that is interested in serving on this board, please let them know that there's an additional 5 days beginning Thursday morning to apply for a candidate. Any questions on that?
There's not, but you know, they need to look at the date that they do that cycle. I mean, they picked the date, it's not quite 2 full weeks at prime vacation time. And you know, it's everywhere. There's a lot of towns throughout the state that don't have candidates. And if they would change that date forward some, maybe when school starts to September, still give them plenty of time. And they just need to look at the date. It's kind of like us having Cedar Fest so many years in July when it's 109. Well, we finally woke up and changed it. Well, they need to wake up and change it and do a little extension on it versus not quite 2 weeks. That's a pretty short period of time. I mean, it's just makes common sense to me to look at that and make a change if you have to. I mean, July is not the time to go register to vote. And then, I mean, they give you about 20 sheets of paper to fill out. They need to relook at all that you have to fill out to run. Because most of the people don't set up a group of people and all that kind of stuff. And it's very confusing. I mean, you got one right there beside you. I guarantee you, he'd tell you it's pretty confusing to go in there and fill out 20 sheets of paper.
Very raw, yes.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, if there's a comment that they could take from this board, that would be it. They changed everybody up there this week, so they need to look at that and make some changes. It's crazy to me.
There should be a little checkbox, because all I kept doing was like writing the same thing over and over and over.
Look, I can go to Sam's Club in Jacksonville. I can walk with my phone. I can hold this up and shoot that item. And when I go to, I can feel my whole buggy. When I go to walk out the door, they already have what I bought.
Yeah.
You don't stop, nobody looks at your ticket. They say, thank you for shopping, they let you right go on. But it takes us 20 pages to sign up to be a commissioner for $5. So they gotta catch up. We're just, they just not caught up. I mean, go to AI or something, Chat GPT, that'll pick it right up. Crazy.
I agree. It was very wasn't intense, but it was just kind of like, oh my gosh.
It's confusing.
I just wanted to go in there and pay my $5 and write my name and say, hey, I'm done. And the next thing you know, I was there for like 45 minutes. And finally she came out and said, can I help you? And I was like, that'd be great.
Well, if they get it from everybody, I mean, it's been like that for 20 years that I know of. So, I mean, come on, change it. What else, Dave?
All right, give you an update on our IT grant and project. We do have, some of the new computers should be coming on Thursday to get set up. As you'll recall, the ones that we have are currently operating on Windows 10. There will no longer be, support for that in a few months. We were able to secure a grant to fund the replacement of those computers and to increase our IT, security software package, as well as to do some updates in our website and domain name from the .org to a .gov. So if you go to our website now and you type in CedarPoint-NC.org, it will automatically redirect you to the new CedarPoint-NC.gov. It is a more secure level website, and at some point we will be making the transition with our email addresses as well. They will continue to be .org forwarding to a .gov for quite a while, just to make sure that people can still get a hold of us. But at some point there will be a full transition to that. So making progress there. The last thing that I have here is, well, let me address this one first. I thought I had the last one. I had something else I just remembered. To give you an update on some transportation related items. Most recently, the Carteret County Transportation Committee met to start looking at projects that the county was going to be supportive of for scoring in the next round of what they call the STIP, the State Transportation Improvement Plan. Previously, the Cedar Point Boulevard Super Street project and the interchange project were tied together as one project. We've decided, both the Down East RPO as well as the County Transportation Committee, to separate those two projects. The belief is that in doing so, the interchange project is more likely to score higher and to get funded, because the improvements related to that are greater than the improvements per cost to that of Cedar Point Boulevard. So they're going to be scored separately this time. In fact, they may both do better being separate. So wanted to let you know about that. Also, as part of that discussion, in order to be considered in the next round of scoring, not the one we're working on, but the next one 3 years out, any new projects will have to go through an express design. And DOT is willing to fund up to 7 express designs for our region. So it was up to the Down East RPO to identify what 7 projects are going to be submitted. We do not need to submit the interchange and the Cedar Point Boulevard or anything on 24 really, because there's already an express design taking place on those. But what we were able to get included is the potential Western Carteret bypass that I mentioned to you before. The ability to turn somewhere around Red Barn Road, go behind Bogue, Cape Carteret, Cedar Point, Swansboro, and come out on the far side of Swansboro Belgrade Road, or Belgrade Swansboro, whichever side you're on. Come out on the other side of that Bojangles down there. And so we know it's not something that could possibly be scored at this point, but getting that express design considered makes it eligible to be considered for future scoring. So I think that's a huge win. I mentioned to you before, the traffic count variation that you would anticipate if that project were to be developed. Right now, we have about 30,000 cars per day on Cedar Point Boulevard. The consultants that did the initial look at that, depending on exactly where they placed it, without any changes, the traffic count on Cedar Point Boulevard in 2050, I believe it was 69,000 cars per day. We're currently at 30, so more than double the traffic count that we have. With that bypass in place, in 2050, the estimated traffic count on Cedar Point Boulevard would drop to about 17,000 in 2050. That tells you exactly how much of that traffic is doing nothing but driving through the town to get from point A to point B. So with that project, if that were to be funded and developed, there would no longer be a need to have a super street project through Cedar Point, because the road that's currently there would be sufficient for the capacity that you would have with that bypass in place.
I guess the question would be, if that's the case, we would not push for the super street to be funded in the next 3 years. We would want to wait to see if the bypass was funded first, correct?
Well, you're not. No, because the issue becomes, due to the expense of that project, the amount of real estate that would have to be acquired for it, the amount of cost to get across the White Oak River where it's wider than it is, now where the current bridges are. That's going to be a very expensive project, and it may be that it never gets funded. I mean, we can't, just because it gets scored doesn't mean that it will ever happen. So you don't want to put all your eggs in that one basket.
Yeah, but I guess, what you said is correct, but it sounds like the super street project would be funded and started before a bypass would be scored and funded.
There's no guarantee that any project will be funded at any point. The super street project in Swansboro, to my understanding, has already been approved and set aside for funding 8 years ago and has not started.
Right.
So yeah, I wouldn't count on any of it taking place or not taking place, or any specific timeline.
That was funded when they originally looked at ours.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I would rather do the other.
Yeah. Yeah, if I could hold a crystal ball and tell you that it would get funded at some point in time, then I would say absolutely pull it, but.
But tell them that's circled up.
Do what?
Tell them that's traffic circle.
So that had been one of the projects. One of the projects was improvements at both ends of Taylor Ocean Road, the 24 side as well as 58 side. That project has now been pulled from the list at the Down East RPO and the County Transportation Committee, because the 24 intersection would be built into the express designs that's already taken place. And DOT has already decided to address the Taylor Ocean Road intersection with a roundabout as a spot safety project. So it's not they're looking at it from the safety standpoint that it's unsafe enough that it warrants money spent now from a different pot of money than coming through the state transportation improvement plan. If that makes sense. So everything that gets scored is something that would go into the next 25 year state improvement plan. It's not a short-term guarantee of anything. Yeah. So give you an update on that. Last thing that I have for you is we have been approached about assisting with the Carteret County Veterans Day Parade. Both our participation, your participation as elected officials, as well as to help support either with staff involvement, local volunteers from the community that might be interested, or financially. They're going to be bringing in some large bands, military bands, and I can't remember exactly right offhand. that part of that process requires putting them up, covering some of the cost and expense in that. So they are reaching out to the local municipalities to ask about possibly participating in cost sharing on that. I'm just gonna announce it to you now. We still have time if you want to take a look at that. We can talk about it next month. If there's something that you want to do, specific or not, let me know and we can address it in more detail. I don't wanna, catch you off guard and cause you to make a rash decision this evening, but I did want to call to your attention that if you would take a look at their website, and then consider if it's something that you all want to participate in helping with, I'd appreciate it.
That it? You good?
I think so. For now,
For now? Do you remember something?
usually what happens.
Okay, Jay.
I don't have anything tonight.
What?
I know.
Anybody in public like to speak?
I just have a couple of questions. Now, I forgot what they were, but one of them regards the public access at the end of Jones Street going out to Sound. So there's a little corridor in there, and it looks like it's public all the way to the water. But there are posts and signs put up by HOAs claiming it's HOA property. I wonder if the town has some kind of clarification.
What's your name, sir?
Oh, my name is David Redfern.
I think David can answer that.
So that is something that has recently been brought to our attention. And we've asked our town attorneys to look into that issue, so we don't have a clear answer for you tonight.
I guess as part of that, it seems like maybe the town ought to have some kind of clear sign in that area indicating where the public property is. So people will know. And my second question, which I just remembered, I've either read or heard recently that there's going to be some dredging done in front of Sunset Drive and Bay out there. And I really haven't heard any details about that. Since I'm a property owner in that area, I was wondering about any financial responsibility.
So you may address that one as well. So last month and the previous month, there had been requests by some of the residents in that area for the town to consider submitting an application to the state. There's some funding there under the shallow water draft channel, something grant. That would cover a portion of the cost of dredging. After our discussion, both months on that topic, the conclusion has been, at this point, we don't know whether Camel would allow the dredging. There may be a concern about it being some sort of habitat in that area, along at the kind of mouth of it. And therefore, town staff instructed the group that was interested here at the meeting to explore that issue, find out, is it something that can even be dredged at this point? And if so, then we can take a look at whether or not the town would want to become involved in that process. And if so, the cost sharing of that portion of it, would that be borne by those that are making the request, or are they asking the town to make that request? They haven't formalized that. They had expressed an interest in paying for it themselves, those that were here. So I suspect that's probably where it would go, but I can't say for sure until the request is actually made.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Anybody else? All right, Neil, you got anything for us?
I'll be speaking to you in closed session there.
Okay, I can't wait. Frankie?
I'm not to say this, but I've had some bad ways here the last month, and I appreciate everybody that reached out to me from the town and everything. My wife got sick, stayed in the hospital. Down here 20 days. I appreciate all the efforts of everybody. We're back home and we're doing good, and she's on the mission to recovery. Long story short, we She got sick on a vacation. I stayed in South Carolina for 20 days. But I appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers.
Well, we hope she gets better
Yeah.
fast. He's strong, Lord. She
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't, when I talked to you the other night, when I asked you, were you a nurse, you didn't sound that positive.
Well, I got it too.
He said he wasn't very good when he told me. That's
Yeah,
it,
appreciate everybody's reaching out.
well. But we'll wish her best. All right, Joe.
I'm fine, Mayor.
Pam,
I have nothing tonight.
Gary,
Just praying for Renee.
Mr. Jerry.
Just want to say once again, thanks for the staff. I know it's been some hot days and hard days out there, and seeing them out there with weed eaters and blowers and backpacks, it's not easy. And just want to say, kudos to those guys for hanging in there. And I know they got another month and a half before to cool down a little bit, but please send my thank yous, and it's well received in the community. And I'm glad your wife's doing better. Right.
So they're giving us another chance on the candidates. You guys gonna get something out to everybody?
We will.
And if you guys know anybody that wants to do it, I thought I did. I guess I was wrong.
What are the requirements to have to live in Cedar Point?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Fill out 20 pages and pay
Fill out 20
$5.
pages of paper, pay $5.
$5 cash.
$5 cash.
That's right.
I don't know, it's hard to get people to serve in Cedar Point. I mean, we keep signing up, and I mean, I haven't had anybody run against me in 10 years, maybe longer.
You're running the bag.
Yeah, so I
I
mean,
remember any of the band ones too.
oh yeah, well,
When you initially did it.
the first 2 times, when I ran for commissioner, the first 2 times, there's right many of us. And Barbara Fargus always ran, Alan Redford always ran.
All was in there.
Yeah, you had different people. We had different people in there. It's just, just the caliber of people we have in Cedar Point are very educated. And they're smart people. And I don't know why they don't want to get out here and serve and make it better. I just don't. And maybe it's something wrong with me. But I mean, I've done it, it'll be 20 years when I finish this one up. So, I have to talk to you about it a lot. I just don't understand why people don't want to run and serve. I mean, I've always wanted somebody to run against me, bring it on. But anyway, that's my soapbox. But if you know any candidates that wanna, it's not that much work. I mean, David does all the work. You saw that tonight. I mean, he goes above and beyond. We're well prepared by the time we get up here, and most of the time we've already discussed it in another meeting or something like that. So we know by the time we get to it and it's on this paper, we pretty much already know what's going on. So, and that's because of that man right over there. So we're lucky in that. So got a candidate, they'll live. They won't die up here. They'll survive. So.
And it's a paid position.
Oh no. He ruined it just then.
$5.
You have to.
I
know.
You said it ain't position.
It's $150 a month.
I don't know, it's less than that with taxes.
Yeah.
Well,
it's pre-tax.
everybody's got to pay the government now.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
$150 a month.
That's rough.
138 something after taxes.
Mhm.
Money's on the table. Nobody wants to step up and grab it.
I don't know. Well, thank y'all for coming out tonight. We have a closed session we have to do, so we're gonna empty the house. But thank you for coming. Daniel,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you,
You
Daniel.
want to speak?
Yes, sir, Jane, if you ever need anybody.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. I really you. I hope you do. I miss your faces. Yeah.
Woman that was sitting there was the new Brad. I figured she was, I
Good.
think so. She was taking